Can you believe this was made with watercolor pencils from start to finish? So if you've ever owned watercolor pencils without really knowing what they're for, or if you've tried them once, felt disappointed, and never touched them again, or if you think watercolor pencils are only good for sketching or tiny touch-ups, this video is for you. Because they're not a weaker version of watercolor or colored pencils that you can wet. They're their own medium, and once you understand how they actually work, they can do things other mediums can't, as you're about to see. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use them to create smooth, vibrant, and professional-looking paintings. This is the reference I'm working from. It's soft, but it's full of contrast between light and dark. At first glance, this kind of subject can feel intimidating, especially if you've had scratchy or dull results with watercolor pencils before, but it's actually perfect for them, and I'll show you why. And I'm using my favorite kind, the faber-castell Auvergne Durer, because they're very pigmented, they're creamy, and easy to activate. But everything I'm about to show you works with any watercolor pencils, even if yours feel dry or a bit scratchy. So don't worry about having the right brand because the technique here matters far more than the pencils themselves. I am keeping my palette very small on purpose, blue, brown, and pink, plus one dark gray and one white pencil. That's it. A few colors are more than enough to create something impressive, and watercolor pencils mix beautifully together anyways. When it comes to paper, this medium is far more forgiving than people think compared to watercolors. For example, you can use thick drawing paper with some tooth or watercolor paper that's cheap or pricey, as long as it's thick enough, around 270 grams per square meter minimum. And today I'm using cold pressed watercolor paper because I like the texture for landscapes. For the rest of the supplies, I'm just using my usual watercolor setup, water jars, paper towels, and a few brushes. Nothing too special or hard to get. Something that might surprise you is that I sketch with a regular graphite pencil. I don't sketch with watercolor pencils because even though they can be great for sketching, a lot of people use them like that, there's so much more we can do, and since I've learned that, my focus is not on just sketching with them anymore. Because the sky is very dark and the mountains are snowy, I'm using masking fluid to preserve those bright whites so they really pop against the night sky. Here, masking fluid works exactly the same way as with watercolor, and I don't always use it with watercolor pencils, but for this subject here, it's going to make everything cleaner and easier. And now comes the technique that completely changes how watercolor pencils behave, and it made me fall in love with them even more when I found out a year ago. If you've ever hated the scratchy look, you spent forever coloring, or you felt limited by streaks, this one's for you. You just need sandpaper around 220-240 grit, and instead of coloring directly on the paper, I sand pigment exactly where I want it. I start with my lightest and brightest color, pink, then I add blue and then brown for depth and shadows. I gently smear the pigment with a paper towel, and I switch to a clean area of the towel as I change colors so nothing gets muddy. This is fast, it's playful, and it works even if your pencils aren't very pigmented. One thing I love about watercolor pencils is how naturally they mix together. Pink and blue here create purples. Brown deepens everything, and you don't need dozens of colors when a few can do so much already. That's why I'm not afraid to overlap my colors, as you can see here. To push the depth further, I repeat the sanding with a second layer, and I add a water-soluble graphite pencil this time, an 8B. I love this tool because it adds richness and depth that is softer and more interesting than black watercolor pencils, and here it creates a deep night sky instantly. So if you get a chance, try these water-soluble graphite pencils. They're awesome and pretty easy to find. Now it's time to activate this background, and today I'm using a flat brush because it covers more ground quickly. I wet it, then I remove the excess water with a paper towel. That's very important so we don't flood the sheet. And I start activating the lightest colors first and the darkest ones last. I work quickly, first horizontally and later vertically, to remove brush marks and also keep everything smooth. I don't add much water because I want to keep the color intensity and keep everything where I've placed it. And this part I know looks much easier than it really is. It does take a little bit of practice, so I encourage you to try it first on a separate sheet until you get the hang of it. Notice that we want to rinse our brush often, especially when switching from a dark to a bright or a light area. This mistake could turn your background into a muddy one very quickly, as you can see here, but thankfully I'm used to this, so I'm able to correct that easily. Now comes one of my favorite parts. With the same flat brush, clean and almost dry now, I start lifting pigment to bring light back into the sky. And suddenly, a beautiful Milky Way appears in the most natural ways. This is where watercolor pencils really shine, because you can sculpt light out of dark with just a few strokes, and I find that the paint tends to creep inside the lifted part a lot less than watercolor does. If you're new to this, I would suggest using two brushes, one for activating and one for lifting. It will make it easier at first because you won't have to waste time rinsing color off your paintbrush. For the stars, I sand white pigment directly onto the still damp sky so it sticks naturally. Look at how fine this looks. It's also very easy to control. And there's no need for white gouache here, as you can see. Everything is done with watercolor pencils only. So if you're buying a small set, this is one of the reasons why a white pencil matters. And just so you know, most 24 pencil sets do have one. If you're new to my channel and you had no idea that watercolor pencils could do this, please let me know in the comments below. Once everything is dry, I remove the masking fluid, and you can see how vibrant and luminous the sky already looks. Now we can move on to the mountains. This is where I use watercolor pencils in the way most people know, but with intention. I start coloring lightly with blue, and I avoid the snowy areas. I also don't try to fill everything in because water will do most of the work later. I overlap colors for harmony, and I use long oval strokes with very little pressure. Just remember that for large areas, sanding is going to work best, but for smaller shapes like these mountains, coloring is going to be ideal, especially when it's your main subject and that you want more detail into it later. One of the most common mistakes with watercolor pencils is using too much water when activating the paint. That's why I wet a clean brush. I remove the excess. I showed you that with a fat paintbrush earlier for the background. And here, since I want to preserve some whites, I touch the white areas first. This keeps the pigment under control, and it lets the color melt into those white areas naturally. I rinse my brush often so colors don't turn muddy. Notice here how overlapping several colors, like I did in the background, creates much richer results than using blue alone. After letting the base layer dry, I add a second layer with water-soluble graphite this time to create deeper shadows and connect the mountains visually to the dark sky. Notice that my pencils aren't razor sharp when I color. I find a slightly rounded tip actually helps prevent streaks better. It's going to be neither very blunt nor sharp. I activate everything again, then I use the pigment that's already on my brush to add subtle strokes into the white areas. So I just pull it from an area that I've activated onto another area. This is why you don't need to color everything. Leaving some parts untouched will give you far more control later to add those small details. For texture now, I wet the pencil tip directly and I splatter, which is very fast, it's intense, and as you can see, it doesn't require extra tools. I lift again in places, and it's great to bring some of the light back into the mountains. It shows how watercolor pencils lift beautifully even on dry, when you use a wet paintbrush and remove the paint with a paper towel. And look at how convenient it is to shape the slopes here. Another favorite technique is to wet the pencil tip and use it directly on the paper to create textured marks that look almost like a dry brush texture. With more pigment though, more of a 3D look from that melted lead. And it's perfect for rocks or rough surfaces. And this is something that watercolor pencils do exceptionally well. I also use the white pencil like a colored pencil to improve my whites in the mountains or soften a transition. It's convenient. And I love to also wet a white lead to intensify highlights even better. What I love about it is that unlike gouache, the white integrates naturally and it stays crisp. And again, we don't need a bunch of different tools. Would you have guessed that this painting was done 100% with watercolor pencils if I hadn't told you? If you want to truly master this medium from landscapes to still life and beyond, my watercolor pencil mastery course is linked in the description of the video. It's the most complete resource I've created on watercolor pencils with step-by-step guidance, bonus modules, and techniques I could not possibly fit into one single painting. You can start and complete the course when you want and at your own pace, so check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.